My infusion shipment finally arrived this morning. I now have access to some Fey crystals and frozen pine cones. Okay, now you're talking. Together with Fable's Phoenix Chili, I have 3 infusions now. I'll unpack them later when I have time. I have a feeling they'll be of use soon. Yes, I'm sure they will be. Conveniently enough. Well, hello, everyone. Good morning. So, innkeep, a drink for me and this lanky fella. It is good to see you too, Lynn. She meant to say please. Fable, are you a lanky fella? Welcome back, Fable. You look alive. Thank you, I am. That seems like a given. I'm just happy to see them doing well, and with a friend. We ain't friends. We're not? So, you didn't join a party? No. Oh. Then what is the drink about? They may be very annoying, but they did just help me solve a family feud of 10 years. So I do owe them some of your dishwater at least. Hey, it's really nice dishwater, okay? Family feud. I wouldn't call it a feud, more of a miscommunication. No, it was a feud. I feel like feud implies a certain level of hostility. I was gonna kill him. I thought that was a joke. It wasn't. Oh. But no one died? No. Elfie here was able to prevent it. It's Fable. Whatever. Does this perchance have something to do with your quest? It does. I stopped her from killing the werewolf. Elaborate, please. I was going to kill the werewolf. They stopped me from killing the werewolf. What's not to get? A lot. I think he's confused because the quest was to save the villagers from the werewolf. And now it sounds like I saved the werewolf from you. Which I did, kind of. I also remember you saying you did not want the quest, Lynn. I didn't. Was there by chance? They were both stealing sheep. Wasn't? Sure was. Adventuring pay ain't what it once was. So you steal other people's sheep? Mind your own business. How does any of this lead to a successful quest? Well, where do I start? How about at the beginning? Right. I was born on a half-crescent dreaming moon of the quest, Fable. Right, the quest. Traveling there was no trouble. I know enough shortcuts to travel through the Ashen Grove swiftly. I reached the borders of Tregarin right after dawn. The Ashen Grove thins out at that part, and you can catch a glimpse of the wide fields, vineyards, and see one farm after the other. An idyllic sight. Well, at least before sunset. Do you have trouble in the dark? Emotionally? Visually? A little. I mean, I reckon I can still see more than a human could, but darkness is darkness, and I am no owl. Thank God. You're already weird enough. Imagine the damage you'd do if you could turn your head all the way around. Who says I can't? Just kidding. Anyway, luckily darkness doesn't affect my hearing. Not the normal kind. What? Nothing. Okay, I heard a creaking fence and footsteps that were failing at keeping it quiet. Your ears are failing at being small. So I snuck closer and I saw a werewolf-esque shape picking up a tiny sheep. I was petting it. Well, I thought she was going to eat it, so I summoned up all my courage and I stepped out of the shadows and I said, "Good evening, werewolf. Please put down the sheep." I didn't expect her to be in her full senses, of course, but I wanted to be polite. And I thought it might confuse her and maybe that would help calm her down. It did confuse me, all right. Who the heck sees a werewolf and the first thing they do is greet them? A polite person. Or an insane one. It worked, didn't it? Because I ain't no werewolf. He wasn't that different. But I am skipping ahead. To my surprise, instead of a growl, the werewolf, or not werewolf, responded with a what? So the confusion plan had worked, but that wasn't really what I had expected. So I said again, please put down the sheep. And she asked why, and I said, well, because it is not very nice stealing sheep. And she asked who I was. No, I asked, who are you, a guard? I was about to introduce myself when we heard this blood-curdling growl. It sounded like someone had ripped a hole into the fabric of reality and had pierced it with a horrid yell. Please. It was barely a bark. And it made the blood freeze in my veins. I heard panting and heavy footsteps, and I barely dared to turn around. You turned immediately. Stop licking your lips, Lynn. When I did, I stared into the twisted face of a werewolf with yellow gleaming eyes. Gleaming with jaundice. Sharp teeth, giant claws. He looked like he wanted to eat me right up. He did. But before I could beg for mercy, suddenly something rushed past me and lunged at the werewolf. When I regained my composure, Caerlin and the werewolf were on the ground fighting tooth and nail. And the sheep? Obviously, I set it down before. Good. So you came to Fable's aid? No, that ain't it. I noticed the wolf's flannel rags. They were blue, checkered, had an uneven print. Just like the kind of stuff Uncle Dragon likes to wear. That old bastard. Gonna go for a little poetic license of my own there. Hey, why can't I say that? Bastard. What the crap? Youth protection. The age rating assessment is quite harsh. Farts. Anyway, it was dressed like Uncle Dragon, smelled like Uncle Dragon, fought like him too. I was joking when I brought it up before, you know. Haven't seen that old man in years. Was coping about it by joking. Coping by joking. That's the only way I can bring him up these days. Lynn, that sounds like a deeper story that maybe we'll get into later. Because of the feud? Yes. He used to be my oh, we're getting into it now. He used to be my favorite uncle, but then he changed. Became irritable and angry, distant. Fought a lot with Uncle Fedor. Cared more about the moon than he did his own family. Eventually, he just left, ran away without a word, left us and Uncle Fedor behind to worry senseless. Until we found a letter saying not to look for him and all their savings missing. Swore I was gonna kill him if I ever saw him again. I always thought he just couldn't face up to his problems. Turns out his solution was just to send the problems away, idiot. Did you talk it out with your fists? I tried, but Elfie stopped me. I'm glad they did. How did you figure that out? Well, she was yelling at him. I didn't understand half of it, but I could tell she was angry and hurt. I tried to get their attention by telling them to stop, but they wouldn't listen, so I shot an arrow right next to their heads. My aim was a little shaky, so I did end up grazing Mr. Dragon's ear. But it got them to stop for long enough to get them to listen to me. I threatened that if they didn't stop to talk, I would shoot them both. I would never have done that, of course. But they must have believed me because they actually stopped to listen. Looked mighty scary there, little fella. Thank you. I sat them down and did my best to be an insuperable obstacle between them. If they wanted to fight, they would have to go through me. That sounds rather dangerous. Was. Wouldn't have stopped for them. What? You're the size of a stick. You think you can stop two angry wolves? Oh, well, anyway. I used the opportunity to figure out what was going on. That's how I found out about Mr. Dragon and Caerlin and the disagreement. Feud. The feud, sure. Turns out that after Mr. Dragon was turned, he was too ashamed to admit it. But he couldn't stop the changes and ended up hurting all the people that he cared about. That's no excuse, of course. No, it ain't.
If we had known, we'd have helped him best we could. At the very least, would have built a sturdy shed with scratch-proof walls for full moons.
He didn't expect that, though. So he decided to fix the problem by leaving, deal with it alone, all of that. But that only made it worse. Of course, he was too embarrassed to come back, so he just focused on the whole werewolf thing and not any of the human things. Or Bukakan things, so to speak. Trying to find a cure, trying to avoid the moon, trying to find a place to sleep, stealing sheep. That's something they have in common. The sheep? No, the stubbornness and the unwillingness to ask for help. But the sheep too. But they had to talk about it. This silent resentment wasn't good for either of them. And you got them to do that.
Little stick is strangely persuasive. Had us talking about it before I even realized I didn't want to.
Maybe because you did want to.
Arr? Maybe.
How did it go?
Fine. We'll take some time to accept his apology. We'll have to see him change first and apologize to Uncle Fedor and the rest. But it was good to see him again. Guess a hug did feel better than a greatsword in his gut.
Wonderful. Of course, there's still the problem with the whole werewolf thing.
Idiot got so obsessed with the cure he can still barely control himself.
We helped him realize that even a cure couldn't change what he's done. That he has to accept he's different now, learn how to live again. Of course, it isn't easy. No change ever is. I learned that from you. Oh, well, thank you, Fable. But we have a group of werewolves living near our settlement. Small community that enjoys the company of our warm trees. We play charades with them a lot, and they taught me about the phases of the 7 moons and the secrets of the moon signs.
That sounds like a bunch of crap.
It's real. You're a crescent moose. We introduced Mr. Dragon to them, and they promised they would take him in and help him deal with his lycanthropy.
That sounds great.
It is. It's a happy ending. I wouldn't call it an end, rather the beginning of something new. So the end of an adventure is just the beginning of a new one.
Exactly.
I like that. So, after your heroic therapy session, you two decided to grab a drink together.
Got offered to spend the day at the settlement. But they don't serve anything strong enough for my tastes. Plus, Selfie was dying to go back here. Was talking about how they would need to update you on everything nonstop. Would think they live here or something.
I had to report back about the quest. I'm glad you did.
They also started crafting something with the werewolves.
Ah.
Said something about it being for you, Innkeep.
Oh, really? Yeah. But it's not finished yet. But I'll let you know, I promise.
That wasn't that hard, was it?
Well. So, a drink. What can I offer you, Lynn? Let's infuse some stuff, huh? Sounds delicious.
Surprise me with something that fits my brawn. By which I mean make me the usual. Strength never gets old.
All right. Gotta remember what you like to drink. Ordering a 3 of strength, which is gonna be this one. All right, so let's do, I'm gonna mix it up, not that it makes a difference. One of those, pop this guy in, another one. They all get shaken together anyway, but just for fun. Whoop, don't spill. And one more. Oh yeah, there we go. The Southern Brawler. Order up. That's the good stuff. Surprise. I poured it differently this time. Maybe you can taste it.
Not bad. You should do this professionally.
I'll think about it.
Fable, what about you?
Do you have something that will calm me down? Maybe even bring some of my agility back? Like a swift strike back to my senses. That was a stressful day. Night, morning, sequence of events. Oh yeah, I got you covered. Swift strike, 3 of speed, yep. Ooh, I like how this is. Sorry, I didn't notice this before. I like how it's hanging in this rope and you like pull it out and it's still dangling there. That's cool. Put in some of that green juice and what? One of these and one of these. What do you think, Andu? Looks good to me. I didn't get to infuse anything though. Here you go. Thank you. Wow, this is perfect. Oh, I know. You look tired. Have you considered sleep? They do look like they're gonna pass out any second. So do you. Maybe sleep is a good idea. Caerlin, do you have a place to sleep? I can sleep anywhere. It's a talent. It's depressing. I have a free room. You can stay there. Sounds good. How much? I'll count it as payment for your help with the quest. Fine. Later, Elfie. See you later. Sir? Are you heading home, Fable? Yes, I've been gone for a whole day. I need to get back to check whether everything is still growing correctly. Maybe take a nap first. Yes, that too. Did you enjoy your first quest? I did. It was scary and different than I expected. And I didn't know I was so good at pretending to be charming. Maybe you should order that more often. Have you considered that you weren't pretending? You did well, Fable. Thank you. I hope this isn't going to be my last adventure. Don't worry, Fable, it's just the demo. That would be nice. Do you think I'm going to save the world one day? That is a very tall order. Little barkeep humor for you there. You're right, I'm not cut out for that. I didn't say that. I would just prefer if the world did not end. Right. But if it does, you're the first person I will ask for help. Maybe you should ask Caerlin first. But I'd be happy to be second. We'll see. Let's hope we won't. I like this world, and you have a point that we shouldn't hope for a calamity like that. Even if it would make for a good song. Or for a sad one. Or both. I'm gonna head home now. Do that. I will stock up on quests for you. I can't wait. See you soon. See you soon in the full game, Fable.